Yes, I got the high sign from Myra. We are live. Good morning, everyone. It's Kate Richburg, live from beadshop.com. It's the first Wednesday of September, and Facebook Live is back live right to you. It's Kate Richburg in front of the camera, and I have two wonderful bead shop associates behind the camera. I've got Myra and I've got Jenny, and Jenny is our newest bead shop team member, and we are so, you guys, she's already doing amazing things, filling your orders and propping us all up and doing a great job. So a big welcome to Jenny as well. Brandwin is on vacation, so Myra has taken over the camera. She's just wrestled the camera right away from all of us and says, I'm gonna run it. So we've been doing a little bit of practicing and stuff, and Myra's doing a great job with it. So it's great to see everybody. Look, you guys, we've got people jumping on. Let's see, Janice is there. Janice is moderating from the East Coast. We see Janice on, and everyone's there. And I thought I saw my mom come on. Maybe that was, yes, I saw her. And there's my mom. Hi, Mama. Good to see you. So it's great to have everybody. I wanted to let you all know that some of you watched my kind of mini broadcast last week when we introduced some of the new beads that we were releasing last week. And I let everybody know, as you can see, I am solo this morning. And, you know, some of you know our Emily has moved up to Northern California, to Lake County, and was doing some commuting down with us. But it got to be a little bit of a hectic commute. So we're not going to be seeing Emily on with us every week, which is a bummer. We're sad, we miss her, but she's going to be back at the end of the month. Those of you who are coming to the bead retreat, you guys will see her, and then at the end of the month she'll be back for a Facebook Live on that last Wednesday. So never fear, you'll get to see Emily. But in the meantime, we have I have so many fun like guests lined up and people coming, and it's going to be really a great fall for us here on Facebook Live. So we're super glad to be back on Wednesdays and Fridays for Free Tip Friday. And then I hear over the grapevine, Janice, that you and Drea are cooking something up for Mondays, maybe one Monday a month. So it'll be really super great to have you guys broadcasting from the other coast as well. So I know it's a real bummer. I know that we're going to miss our Emily, but don't you worry. I see Myra, I see your little head. Peeking. That was Myra's little head. Adjusting, but it's okay. And we'll, and she'll be, so she'll be back. She'll be back to see us. Okay. So, is the sound, let's make sure that the sound and everything's okay. Do I have some thumbs up? And great, and there's Gita. Gita is moderating as beadshop.com across the miles over in Denmark. It's great to have you as always, Gita. I hope you had a great August. We had a great August over here for sure. We had a lot of fun times. It seems like August went by in a flash. We had Beadfest, which was great. We did a couple of broadcasts from Beadfest, which was terrific. And it was so great to meet so many of you in person. So that was fantastic over at the Philadelphia Beadfest show, which was good. And then we're going to see some of you, 24 of you, are joining us for our bead retreat that's coming up. It's coming up starting on the 14th of September, and it's going that whole weekend. And we're going to be going live from the bead retreat several times. Emily and I and Janice will all be teaching. We'll be doing some wire work, some metal work, some stringing. And then on that Monday, the 17th, which I heard might be my birthday month, my birthday, yes, we're going to be going to the Bead Museum in Carmel, California. So we'll be taking you along as well. Some of you may have seen those broadcasts last year when we went to the Bead Museum. I didn't go, so I'm super excited to go to the Bead Museum on that Monday. So it's great. Gosh, we've got so many people here watching from all over, which is so great. And yes, Janice is going to be in the house. Janice is going to be here in California. She's going to be here on Saturday. And then, so you guys will see her next week with me here on Facebook Live, which is going to be really fun. We have such a fun project. It's called O Peyote, and it's a new way of doing peyote stitch with O beads. But that's for next week. So, let's see. It is almost that time. Let's see. It looks like we've got everybody's jumping on, and we see Cindy, and let's see, Melanie's there. Everyone's there. Oh, that's great. Oh, awesome. Oh, and that's right, Gita. Gita's. I'm glad you got your bead shop beads. I know that your brother came to visit you, so I'm glad you got your beads. That's awesome. Well, it's great to see everyone. Well, let's talk, before we move the camera around, I want to talk a little bit about the beads that we are using today. You know, a really great way, you guys, to stay in touch with us, and I know that a lot of you already get our newsletters, but I know that a lot of you are new and just watching for the first few times. There's a few ways that you can watch this broadcast, and there's some learning that goes along with it, and there's some communication that we like to, be in touch with you guys as our customers. So first, you can watch us right here every Wednesday, every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, right here on our Facebook page. You can also find us after the broadcast. Karen takes the little chip from the camera and uploads everything onto our YouTube channel. So if you don't follow us on beadshop.com, our YouTube channel, you may want to give that a follow as well, because then you'll get a notification every time something is uploaded, okay? You can also watch it after the fact. It's embedded right on our website on beadshop.com, and you can see us, you can see it right on the Facebook Live page, and you can watch it there as well, okay? So there are 3 ways to watch us. Also, Drea creates a wonderful document that goes along with this broadcast, and it's called Episode Notes. And I know I hear from some of you, you're like, you know what, I don't even watch the episode, I just use the episode notes. So what that is it's kind of the Cliff Notes version of what goes on in this broadcast. Drea kind of outlines the project, and she also tells you where in the minute markers in the broadcast to forward, because if you don't want to hear the chitty chat or the pleasantries at the beginning, you can fast forward about 15 minutes into the broadcast, and that's when the learning gets started. Okay, so there's all kinds of ways that we support you with all of the learning for these things. So how we doing? How we doing over here? I see Drea just jumped on. Yes. And some people are saying that kids are back in school, so you can watch in peace, which is awesome, right? It's great. Good. Good, good. Great. We see somebody's here from Sweden. That's awesome.
And Greece.
And Greece. Yes, hello. Oh, it's great. Great to have you. Oh, that's so funny. Drea says that was really creepy. She clicked into the live just as I was saying Drea. Well, I knew it, Drea. I've got eyes. I don't know. On the East Coast. I don't know. It's great to have you watching. And Drea just came back from a well-deserved vacation, so we're glad that you had some rest and relaxation, but we're also super glad you're back. Janice and I were handling the customer service emails, but not with the grace and ease that you always do. So thank you so much for all of that. So, alrighty. So let me take a swig of this coffee and let's get started. Today we're going to talk about double drilled beads, you guys. And this is a new product that we have at Bead Shop. We just launched them back in August, and we were really excited to do a project with them. And we have them in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different flavors, 12 different flavors of beads. And when we move the camera around, you guys will see them up close. But the double drilled, what they are is they are a semi-precious bead, okay? And that semi-precious bead, it's a little under an inch. It's not quite 3/4 of an inch here, and then the strand or the holes go in kind of at the top there and at the bottom there. So they're perfect for all kinds of kind of, these really say vintage to me. They're also great for like bracelets like this. And they also really, I think, are reminiscent of carrier beads. Do you remember that great carrier bead project that Emily did where she did the peyote stitch strip around the carrier beads? You could do the same thing with these, and I think they'd look amazing. I'm also thinking about doing some wire work things with these as well. So let's go ahead and, Myra, I think people are really jonesing to see these beads. So let's move this camera around, shall we? And see. Let's get this show on the road on the front end here. Move the camera here. And I'll move this over and I'll take this right here. And then you tell me if I'm in the right place. There we go. I'm going to lock this down, I think. There we are. And you tell me if this looks okay. If I need to move it. What do I need to do? You want to flip that around a little bit and I can see it? More towards me? Oh yeah. Perfect. Try. See what you think about that. And let me see if I can straighten the camera a little bit. I'm actually going to straighten this out a little bit too. Does that look straight? We're okay? Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. So here are some of the double drills right in front of me so you guys can see them. And I want to show you all of the different flavors that we have. And Janice also just mentioned when they're strung like this is how they're strung when they come to you like this. And they're kind of tight on the strand. So you kind of need to be careful with them while they're on the strand like this so that they don't crack. They're not super soft, but if for some reason you get one that has a little crack that we haven't seen any yet, just let us know and we'll take care of it. But they're such a fun and easy and interesting bead to use. So what I've got here is we've got a variety of stones. They're all semi-precious and all of the natural color stones with the exception of this aqua impression jasper. This aqua impression jasper has been dyed, but it's a stabilized dye, so you shouldn't see any fading or anything on that. So I'm going to scoot, or you can scoot in even a little bit tighter, Myra, if you can, or I'll also bring them up to the camera here. This is the dog teeth amethyst that we've got here, and you can see if I turn them on the side, you can see the thickness of them. And let me get out the millimeter gauge. If you guys don't have a millimeter gauge, I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Get you one so you can really measure your beads well. The thickness of this dog teeth amethyst here, whoops, I have it in inches. Let me go to millimeters here. There we go. So they're about, at the widest point, a little over 5 millimeters. You can see that there. Okay. And this dog teeth amethyst, it has some really nice different variations. Here it looks like it has a little bit of, transparency to it. I just love them, love them, love them. Then we go to look at these guys, you guys, the matte black gold Amazonite. This is, as it says, the title implies, it's matte. Also about the same size and thickness as the dog teeth amethyst. I love a matte bead. I just love them. It's such a, I think, a pretty finish, and you can mix it with shiny finishes to get, I think, some really interesting contrasts and stuff in your designs. Then this impression jasper, this has been dyed, and you can see the bead is slightly more squared off, right? And this, you can see it's not quite as rounded, and it's a little thicker, a little bit wider. It's almost actually 6 millimeters in thickness, but it's really pretty. And again, it's been stabilized, so you shouldn't worry about any kind of fading or anything like that just because it's been dyed. It's totally stable. The Dumoretite, beautiful. It also, this kind of has a sodalite feel to me, this kind of really subtle kind of navy color. Then, of course, matte onyx, so beautiful. Silverleaf jasper, one of my favorite stones. You know, I hadn't seen the silverleaf jasper much before I came back to beadshop.com, and it's actually one of my favorites. I love it in the rounds, in the 6 and 8 millimeter rounds. And like, look at this bead that's right here. It has some red jasper in it too. It's just so beautiful. Silverleaf is one of my favorites. Then we've got Silver Creek jasper, also matte, beautiful with the matting. This is the matte porcelain jasper. Looks really similar to the Silver Creek, but it has kind of this really subtle pink in it. Then we've got everyone's favorite, rose quartz, and the what do I want to say? The quality of this rose quartz is really beautiful. Sometimes with rose quartz, when you see it, when you buy it, it's strung on a strand that's pink, so it makes those strands or those beads look a little pinker. But these are actually strung on a clear cord here, and you can see how pink, what a beautiful, you know, it's subtle, it's a subtle pink, but they really are even and beautiful, and the quality is really lovely. So it's a really nice soft pink. It's beautiful. Then I've got Red Creek jasper, also matte, also delicious. We've got Sunset Mookaite, very similar to the Red Creek jasper, but a little bit different. Not as many greens in the Mookaite, which is beautiful. A lot of that mustard color. And then one of my favorites is the Rhyolite. And Rhyolite, this green, just kind of screams like tide pool to me, you know, or like, I don't know, falling leaves or forest floor, or it just really has such a nature component to it. I really, really love them. And Cindy, you were asking about the pink in the, it's kind of hard to tell, but let me put it against some white so you can see it. Here's the rose quartz, and you can see it up against the white. It's a good, even, solid pink. I don't think that the pink is showing as vibrant on the screen, but I can see it there. It's actually a little more pink than it's appearing on the camera. So I think you'll like it. And as always, you guys, if you get something from us, if you order something from beadshop.com and you're not super stoked about it, right? You have 30 days to send it back. Just go to our website, beadshop.com. Check out in the FAQ page. It has all of the info about returns. You could also just email us at info@beadshop.com, and we'll help you do your return. It's no big deal. We'll get it back here, and we'll credit you for it. So if you don't love it, don't worry. We will be glad to exchange it for something else. And yeah, Drea is saying, yep, it's just a little washed out from the lighting on the camera, so because it is so bright, or such a lighter contrast. If I put it next to, maybe if I put it over here, it won't be quite as washed out. Anyway, those are some nice pans, Myra. Myra's like Steven Spielberg behind that camera. Nice, right? Right, Cara? She's like Steven Soderbergh. Steven Soderberghing this right here. Looks great. Okay, yep, and Rhyolite, Tanya, right at the end, this screen is the Rhyolite. So let me show you, let's take a look at, you guys, the project that I'm going to do with these. Janice really created a fun project with them that I'm going to work with on Free Tip Friday. And I was going to use it for Facebook Live, but you know, I really wanted to string a necklace. I've been in a real necklace mood, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it with it. So I'm going to move those guys over, and let me pull the necklace in so you guys can see this. So this is the necklace that I designed to go with it. It would also really work nicely, this portion, if you wanted to do a bracelet. It would really work nicely as well. I wanted to give, as Janice likes to say, a little bit of air between the beads, right? So if I have the pink right here, and you can see if I strung them all side by side, it would be kind of stiff, right? Like this. It would need some movement. So you can see I put these melon beads, these 3mm melons, in between, along with some other things. But say that I was just going to string a bracelet like this with these rose quartz. I would put a little something in between each. That 3mm melon, the 8mm, this 8mm seed bead, anything that gives it a little bit of elbow, a little bit of movement, okay? And yes, it would also, you could alternate, Melanie, you were saying they would look great with the carrier beads. You could alternate one of the semi-pressure, one of the carrier, one semi-pressure, one of the carrier. That would be amazing too. Really, really fantastic. So give these a little bit of air and any of those beads will work with it, just a small one. So with this necklace, I strung this on Softflex. You could use, you know, your nylon coated wire beading material. That's what I chose for this. You could use thread, you guys, if you wanted to knot in between the beads or whatever. You could use Ceylon and some end tips, stuff like that. But for ease of stringing and longevity of the necklace, I chose Softflex. And the Softflex that I used was the fine, the 0.014 Softflex. We carry it in some different diameters as well. You could use the 0.019, the one that's a little bit thicker or a little bit heavier. But the 0.4 I think works just fine. And you could use any color. I just chose this regular, what do they call this? They call it, I think it's just the satin gray, the original, yeah, satin silver right there. But you could switch it around if you wanted to use, I don't know, I'm sorting through my Softflex box here, and it looks like all of my spools are empty. But we carry it in a bunch of different colors. You know, you could get it in the copper or in the bronze or whatever, but we are going to cover, the ends here with the crimp covers and stuff, so you're not going to see any of it, okay? So, also, with designing this necklace, the way I started was, I jumped in and I grabbed a strand that I wanted to work with. And, you know, sometimes a lighter color, I'll be honest, a lighter color challenges me. You know, I'm all about like a blue or a green or super saturated or super vivid or whatever. I am all about jumping in and kind of testing the waters. And so Jenny, if you want to start doing some photos on this side, probably it's a good time to start as well. Jenny is taking over some of the photos for the episode notes, you guys. It's so exciting. We're so lucky to have her doing that today. So this was my my starting point. I chose the pink. And then I thought, well, what should I use? What semi-precious round? I knew I wanted to mix it with a round. So I jumped in and I added the Botswana agate, okay? Then I just kind of went from there. I knew I wanted an element that was big, maybe, to kind of showcase in the pieces to break up the agate. So then I jumped in and I grabbed the Ivory Mercury, this 10mm English cut, like this. And what I liked about the English cut is, you guys, and if you haven't used them before, we have them in the 10, and I think they're an 8mm, aren't they, Myra? 8mm, I think, is the other size, right? I wanted something a little bit bigger so it had some size contrast. And I also thought that the light of the Ivory Mercury kind of really pulled in the lightness of this Botswana agate. So then I thought, well, that's looking good, but I need some stuff, like I said earlier, to provide some air in between the carrier beads, the double drills. Okay. So first I thought, well, I haven't used the melons in a while. let me add that 3mm melon right in there. Okay. Then I thought, well, it's a little, maybe it would be a little dark, so I wanted to add a little bit of a shape contrast. So let's go to the 5mm rondelle. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw it in that same ivory mercury color. And I thought it was starting to shape up. Then I thought, well, I need some metal because I've got all of this English cut here and all of this kind of glass and semi-precious. I need some metal. But I started metal with metallicized fire polish, and I used that 4mm polychrome. What is this? It's the polychrome. I've got my list here. Polychrome rose. That's what this is right here. And I thought it lent a nice kind of metallic look to it. But I thought, well, more metal. I need some other business going on here. And so I used the Heishi, the brass Heishi. And Ellen is saying, what? No shadows? I know, no shadows in this one. A little more streamlined, I think. So that was how this palette shaped up. And then we had a new, it's fairly new. We've had it for a while, but we haven't really used it, so I don't think it's been on anybody's radar. We have our Clio clasp. Now, Janice used the Clio clasp in, I think it was designing a cuff. And if you remember, the Clio clasp had the loops going the opposite way, going in the horizontal way. We have this new Clio that's actually now vertical, so the loops are this way. And we got it also for those of you who loom. So let's say that we were looming with this piece and we wanted to finish off our loomed piece with the clasp. We could just put a row of beads right in there and loom this clasp right in. So this vertical Clio clasp comes in with some different loop sizes, but this one is also a terrific one for looming. But you can see how it just, it's kind of sneaky in that you don't see the loops in it. So I think it's really quite pretty, the vertical Clio. So we've got that in there. So so that was this one, and Janice named it Tea Time, which I liked the sound of very much because it kind of has a very kind of soft tea house, tea time flair. And then this morning I thought, well, I want to work on a new colorway because I always want a second colorway. And I pulled this right off the wall, and I hope we have stock on everything. I think we have enough to go around. And you know what? Hey, Ives, is the printout on the printer there? Did it not print? Did I not bring it? Am I just going to have to wing it? Is it over there? It's over here.
I think.
Is it here? Nay. That's the one. Thanks, Ives.
Sorry.
Takes a village. Takes a village to get the printout. Here we go. So this is the list of what I used here, you guys, okay? I wanted the black onyx, okay? And I just thought the black matte onyx would look terrific. And, you know, coming up, always at the beginning of September here in the Bay Area, there is an event called the Gatsby Afternoon, and it's the Art Deco Society puts that on, the Art Deco Society of the San Francisco Bay Area. And everybody gets dressed up in kind of these Art Deco outfits. It's very 30s, very Gatsby, 20s, 30s. And puts on their best and picnics and does all kinds of fun stuff. It's out at the Dunsmuir Estate here near Berkeley. And so I was feeling very kind of Art Deco necklace in my choices here. So that's what inspired this palette. So I've called this one Evening Time. And I pulled the Matte Adventuring for this one. And this one also may come out a little bit shorter. We might switch the length up just a little bit. Then I pulled the Polychrome Aqua Teal for this, for the 4mm. Then I pulled the Mustard Rondelle because I like a little bit of mustard to spice things up, literally. The green turquoise Picasso English cuts, which kind of, I think, build the bridge between the polychrome teal and the matte aventurine. And then I used, Cara helped me choose this one. I was kind of casting around for which melon I should use. And I went with the 3mm Ultra Luster Opaque Green Melon. And then we used the vertical clasp. I used it in copper, and I pulled some copper Chirahishi, and I thought that the seed bead that would look good with it is this ADOT. It's the galvanized dark mauve matte. So this is the second color palette that I'm going to use. So, and Janice just linked Evening Time right on the blog, so you can see it. So I saw a few comments back about how Janice commented about how the necklace, and you can see here how the necklace in the center. See how one strand, the outside strand, is a little longer. The inside strand is a little shorter, okay? And the way that this sits, and I'll put it on, and well, you saw it on the neck too, and we'll look at that at the end of the broadcast. But I didn't want it to sit too tight up against each other like this, right? So I started by graduating this. And when I start on a necklace, you guys, the necklace really, the most important section is this center section. So this is where I start doing my designing. And yeah, we can show the carrier beads next to the double drill. Jenny, why don't you go ahead and grab just a few carrier beads off the wall, if you would, or Cara's grabbing them off the wall. And go ahead and snap a few more of these if you haven't gotten these photos as well. And I'll show the carrier beads next to these double drills so you guys can see it. And then we'll talk about this, starting this design. Where's my Softlex? That's the empty one. Here's the full one. So here we go. Thanks, Cara. So let me show you guys these just real quick to fulfill Janice's request. Here is the carrier bead, and I can even kind of put it on top of that double drill. Can you see how they're just a little bit bigger, slightly bigger. Let me measure it. Let me turn it on here. These guys are about 17, almost 17 millimeters long, and these are a little bit more, almost about 20 millimeters long. And in the width, about 8.6, and these guys are about 10. So they're just slightly bigger, okay? But you can see they do mix beautifully with those double drilled. It's great. So let's start actually off in the center. And the way that I do this, and I'm just going to do this now off camera, you can't really see it, but I'm putting the Softlex kind of around my neck and kind of just getting a rough measurement. This one is actually going to be a little bit shorter, so I'm going to cut it here, add a little extra, and then I'm going to tell you how long I've cut. The necklace that I've made, let me tell you the length of this long one. I know I have it's right in front of me, right here, my tape measure. Let me measure door to door, as we like to call it. This goes, twist this around. So the short strand is about 28 inches long, this short one right here. And the longer one is a little bit longer. Oh, and I'm sorry, Janice, yes, the carrier, it's not a carrier bead, though it could be. It's the double drilled onyx is what we've used instead of the carrier. I think we were getting carried away thinking about carrier beads this morning with it. So I've cut to make this second one a little bit shorter. Let me tell you how much Softlex I've cut. And we want a little bit of extra thread as well. So I've cut about 35 inches or so. So I'm going to cut another one that same length, so I have the 2 strands. And, you know, I want to be fairly generous with my Soflex in case my design evolves over time, right? But I don't want to waste too much, right? Because Soflex, it's not, you know, it's not free. So I just want to make sure that I'm not cutting too much. So about 35 inches will work. Now you could also use, you guys, you could use your bead stoppers for the ends of these. But for the moment, because I can't, Cara was so good, she cleaned the box, but now of course I can't find anything because it's all nice and clean. Whoops, as I threw that bead stopper right over to Jenny, Jenny's going to hand it back. I'm going to put this bead stopper at the end, like this. You can do that like that. Or you could put a piece of tape on the end if you don't have a bead stopper. Okay, you can do that too. And then I just started to figure out, well, what am I going to start with? What am I going to put in? So in the original, let me lay the original up here so you guys can see that. The original, I started with one of the English cut. So let me just jump in here and cut these guys open. And I might start, instead of just with that single one, maybe I'll start with 3 and 3. Yep. Am I going all over the place, Myra?
No.
What do I need to do? Am I all right?
No.
No? I'm good? Okay. Myra was motioning at me. I want to make sure I'm doing exactly what she tells me to do, because Myra's in charge. I'm going to use 3 of these guys, and I'm going to separate them using the 8/0 seed bead. And as I'm designing this, in my head, I'm thinking, do I want 3 beads? Whoops. As I'm designing this, you know what I'm going to do? That extra seed bead, I'm going to cut it away, maybe. It would take me less time to take it off, but there we go. I'm going to cut that one away. I'm the boss of those beads, right? Maybe I want 3 on the bottom, and maybe I want 2 on the top. What do you think about that? I don't know. 1 and 2. So maybe it's not so equally heavy. And if I'm making this shorter, it's going to sit a little bit higher up on the neck. So I'm also thinking about that too. So maybe 2 and 3. Maybe like that. Maybe I like that. I'm going to say I like it. So then, what do I have here? I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I've got 13 beads on the longer side. But since I've added these guys here, I'm going to add fewer. So I think maybe I'll add, I'm going to look at what 8 beads per side look like there. Okay. So I'm going to free these guys up. And I'm going to just take them off. This is one of my tricks to string beads quickly. I keep them in between my fingers like so. Keep the holes lined up and then run them through. Run that Soflex right through them. And they should all, sometimes I can get them through all of them. They all go on nice and quick. Whoops, except for that last one who wants to run away. So I've got 2, 4, 6. Let me see what 8 look like on all of these. Okay, 8, maybe 9. Okay. Now I love the bead stoppers, you guys, but I'll be honest, I use a ton of tape when I'm designing, okay? So I will just, to keep it there, I'm just going to put a piece of tape there so it holds everything in place. Then I can very easily, on this side, take off my bead stopper just like this and add my 9. So I've got 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. There we go. And 4 more. Like that. You could also, you guys, if you wanted to make these beads go a little bit further, I could put some seed beads in between these two. You know, like I like to say, what do I say, you guys? You do you, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Great. I'm also going to slap another piece of tape down here, right there. Okay? So now that one's ready to go. So now this one needs to be a little bit shorter, right? And so if I count up here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, this one was about 3 of these beads longer than these. I have 9 here, plus those 3. I'm going to put on 7 beads on each side and see what that looks like. Again, totally random, totally guessing, all right? These are, Melanie, the matte green aventurine, which I love. But you could also use, we've got so many matte rounds. You could use the light aventurine. You could use the matte lapis, would look amazing with this. I think it would all look good. And look at how nicely those kind of sit next to each other. So see how they just, I don't know, I love the way that looks. So 2, 4, 6, 7 on this side. And what do? I tape it, and I'm going to put 7 on this side. Right here. And here's this, one of those, and 2, 4. Well, I've run out on this strand, so I can just open my other strand. The Botswana agate strands that we carry are a little bit longer than these, so I'm going to try and make 2 strands of these green beads of the aventurine work for me. We'll see if we need to add another one later. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, 2, 4, 6. I have 1 too many on this side. Let me take it off and put it on the other side. All right. And while this strand is out, let's just go ahead and take a look at how I kind of tapered it. Because see here, with the double drill that I have here, this double drill, if I went ahead and threw a double drill on, let me grab one, time to free these onyx ones. I was afraid if I didn't have something that would help to taper, that it wouldn't sit, that would actually sit just fine. But visually, I wanted something that tapered a little bit. So I went with the 4mm, the Heishi, and the 3mm melon. Okay, so in this new style, I did the polychrome aqua teal because polychrome aqua teal, that's why. I mean, come on now, look at this color, is so exquisite, right? And it's just off. I really think it builds the bridge between this melon, the Picasso melon, or the Picasso English cut rather, and that the aventurine. I think it just has a nice, it's a little bit in this world and a little bit in that world, so I think it looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and we'll taper this down. So I need my Heishi. I thought I'd use the copper because I like the way the copper looked. And I have the melon. And this melon is the Ultra Luster Opaque Green. Okay. Let's put a few there. So Jenny, go ahead and see if you can grab a couple of photos of this little palette here as well as I'm stringing this up. So since I have this free, I'm just going to go ahead and what did I do? I started with the 4mm and then I went to the Heishi Then I went to the melon. Then I put that aside. Yes, look at that. Look at how nicely it just finishes off the end and tapers. You know, I think as you're adding a clasp or as you're adding a transition, having a little bit of a taper or a little bit of purposeful transition, I think adds a lot to the design. So that was my thinking behind this. So there's that one. And I'm gonna play with fire. I'm not gonna tape it down. I'm gonna pull this one out. I'm gonna taper it. Then we're gonna put the double drill on, and we're gonna see how it all lays. Because this, once you get this center kind of measured correctly, then you're kind of like home free. But this is the fussy part right here. And you know, if you're going to make a statement necklace, or say something necklace, there's always some fussy parts. It's always just how it goes. There we go. So I've got this. This is all together here, like so. Now it's kind of hard for me to kind of wiggle this around and figure out how it sits. So I'm just going to string the double drill right on, and it's going to help me to see if my spacing on this is right or not. And again, you guys, they're only beads. It's okay. We're just gonna not worry about it too much. We can always take them off the thread. If we've put them on the thread, we've got the power to take them off. So I'm just gonna slide this guy on, and we'll slide this guy on like so. And let's take a look. See if I kind of push them down. And I can see that spacing doesn't look too bad. What do you guys think? It's not bad, right? And then I double check to make sure that I have the right amount of beads. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. Or 7. Whoops. I need another drink of coffee. Let me try that again. 2, 4, 6, 7. Learn how to count, Richburg. 2, 4, 6, 7. Perfect. Alrighty. So now let's add some double drill. And what I want to do, as I noticed when I was stringing the big necklace, I was stringing away with the double drills, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, do I have enough for both sides? So you may want to divide these up. This is another trick that I do sometimes when I have like focal beads where I know that I have to use half on one side and half on the other. So what do I have left? 2, 4, 6 to that side, 2, 4, 6 to this side, 2 more to that side, 2 more to that side, 1 and 1. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And it looks like I've got one left over. So that will go in my missing bead, or my orphan bead pile. So I'll put that over there. And let me do the same thing, you guys, for these English cuts. Just so, because if I'm designing on the fly, which I am all of a sudden, I want to make sure that I've got enough for both sides. So 2 there, and 2 to this pile, 2 to that pile, 2 to that pile, and 1 to that pile, and 1 to that pile. So there we go. So now I really know that I've got those split. And we might as well split the melons as well, though I don't know if I'm going to use as many, but might as well do it, right? If I've got it. If I've got them, split them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2 of those, 1 and 1. There we go. So there are my little piles. They're all ready to go, okay? So now let's just keep stringing, right? Stringing. Let me move this to the center. And I really am seriously playing with fire because all of these strands are open. Nothing is closed. So what I'm going to do is tape this bad boy down. Tape it. So now nothing can fall out of that end. because as you guys all know, a bead's natural habitat is the floor. And we don't, it's the first time Jenny's heard that joke, so at least somebody laughed at it. Thank you, Jenny. Because she knows that beads like to go on the floor for sure. So now I'm just going to string. And the way I went for these, designed this little section here, is I used the rondelles kind of butted against the melons. And I've got a whole bunch of melons, so I don't think I need to split those up. So I'm just going to take some there. So what did I do? I did a melon. I did Heishi, the copper. Another, the rondelle, the Heishi, and the melon. And that's it. And look at that pop, you guys, that pop of mustard. And if I'm thinking Art Deco in my head, you know, Art Deco designs and Art Deco color palettes, they're always a little funky, right? They're always a little off, I think, in the best way possible. So I think the addition of this tiny soupçon of mustard in there really makes the color pop. Sometimes, you know, when we're working in class or we're talking about color or choosing colors, sometimes I have people start their colorway with a bead or a color that just doesn't work for them. That's just so difficult that they're like, oh, I don't even know how to use it. So if you start with that color or with that bead, and then you try and build the bridge to a bead that you are comfortable with, you know, building a color bridge to that, sometimes you come up with a colorway that's really distinctive and interesting. It's like what I used in the necklace in the first place over here. I like rose quartz, but I'll be honest, I don't love it. I don't always love a lighter color or a pastel color. But I love the Botswana agate that I used. So I kind of built a bridge, bridging that light tone of the rose quartz to the darker tones of the Botswana agate. Okay? So build that color bridge, you guys. Build that color bridge. Janice is asking if I'm going to use more seed beads. And yeah, I think I am. And I think, JP, I'm going to utilize them a little further up. I think I'm going to. But thanks for the nudge there. But you guys, look at how, isn't this delicious? I love this. I don't know about you, maybe I'm the only one, but I'm digging what's happening here with these colors. Mustard, I don't know, I love mustard. I don't wear a lot of yellow. I think yellow is kind of a difficult color for me to wear, but dang, I love the way mustard looks. And so bringing in a little bit of that will allow you to kind of wear a color maybe that isn't always on your color palette. Before we took the August break, we were talking about color, and you remember, some of you might remember back in the 80s and maybe very early 90s having your colors done, right? And you're like a winter or a spring or a fall or whatever. It might be kind of fun to revisit that to see what colors and stuff you wear. I feel like you can wear all colors if you just kind of mix them with what I call your neutral, finding your neutral. For me, my neutral, and Janice knows this, she's shouting it out at her computer as we speak. I should ask her to type it, what my neutral is. My neutral is Montana blue. Always, always Montana blue. I love it. And so a Montana blue, if I don't know if I'm trying to make a bead work for me, as long as I throw in a little bit of that Montana blue, I can make it happen for me. So the Montana is fun. So now I'm going to stop with those 4, and I'm going to taper it back down on this side, right? And I'm going to taper with the melon and with this Hishi, and then with the 4mm. I just saw somebody, Susanna, you asked if you can save this video. And Susanna, yes, you can always go back and watch our videos from beadshop.com. You can watch them 3 different ways. You can always watch the replay of our Facebook Lives right here on our Facebook page. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, beadshop.com, right on YouTube. And you can find all of our videos plus all of the product to make these projects that I'm doing, all on our website at beadshop.com. And we archive under the project page. You can always find all of our Facebook Live videos. And if I do say so myself, they are pretty darn fun to watch, if I do say. And Janice just typed that it's my neutral Montana Blue is my eye color because that's my neutral. And it's really true. You can always look to your eye color to find what your neutral might be. It's a whole color class that we do, and so it would be fun. I think, Janice, that would be a fun project or a fun retreat. We did a lot with color on our first bead retreat, but we're thinking about bringing the bead retreat to the East Coast, and jumping in with color, I think, would be a fun way to debut that. But who knows? Who knows? We've got so many ideas for that coming up. So you can see I am stringing my little heart out fast and furious from my bead pile on the other side here, and you can see all we need to do now is match. And if you know me at all, and I like to think that you do know me, you know that symmetry is not always my forte, symmetry and patterning. But when I use it to kind of serve the, I don't know, the style I'm trying to communicate or the evoke, I guess, then it's a little bit easier for me. So I'm thinking Art Deco patterning, I'm thinking about the negative space and the size and the shape that I'm trying to evoke with this piece. And to me, this just screams deco. This, I think, would make a lovely, I'd make a twin bracelet set out of those. You know, it's very Art Deco to have 2 bracelets, to wear 2 bracelets at one time. Where did my Hishi go? There it is. Put a little more out. And you guys, you can see my bead surface. I'm not really laying things out, right? I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal. I know that surprises you all. But as long as you have a nice beading surface, I don't think that you have to lay things out bead by bead. Sometimes I think that hems us in rather than helps our creativity flow. All right, we've just got one more little section here. As I'm stringing this section, right, I start to think about, start to visualize what's going to happen after this, right? And I'm thinking that I still have some of these English cuts that are ready to go. I have fewer of the round beads. I could always get another strand. I've got another strand here that I'm going to use, but I could always introduce a 3rd strand if I wanted. But if I wanted to make this a little bit shorter, I need to think about getting more seed beads in here. Whoops, I keep forgetting that Hishi. I need to think about getting more seed beads in here. I need to think about getting the rest of those English cuts in here. So I start to kind of form a plan in my little beady brain here. And we'll see what comes of it. So let's do this and this. Nancy's asking, is there a definite front and back side to the double drills? There isn't, Nancy, really. They are, to my eye, exactly the same the front and the back so that they don't have a front or a back. Let me go ahead and taper this down here, taper this down here, and taper this one down right here. Okay. And this one, and this one there, and this one here. Okay.
Tanya
Yep.
also asks, what's the difference between carrier beads and double drilled beads?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Jenny. So carrier beads, what we have, the carrier beads are a traditional Czechoslovakian glass bead, Czech glass bead. You can see I'm bringing them in here. And so these are glass, and they're tapered. They have a little more, can you see that if I show that to the camera? They're shaped a little more like an eye, almost, okay, what we're calling these carrier beads. And these also, this is an old style Czech glass bead. They're called carrier beads now because what people are doing is they are doing peyote stitch around the beads, and the beads are carrying that peyote stitch over the top. So that's why these are called carrier beads. These double drills are very same style as these carrier beads. This double drill is a very vintage shape and design of bead. And you can see if I turn it to the side, it doesn't have that same sloping eye kind of look to them. They're a little more squared off. And in this case, these double drilled are semi-precious, where these carrier beads are glass. So that's the difference there for you. Thanks, Jenny, for getting that up. So now I need to figure out, you guys, what's going to come next. So let me look at our original design here, our original design way. And if I lay this out next to it, you can see I've added one more there to kind of make it, to kind of elongate it there. Maybe I'll add a few. I think it's time I need to pull some of that green up here. So let me split these green aventurine in half. All right. Let me see what I've got here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 on this side. Come off of here. I think that was 13. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. I'm going to put these 13 over here on my little pile over here. And what do I have over here to use? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. 2 to each side, 2 and 2. And then I've got one spare. I'll put this over with our other spare there. And it looks like somebody had a question. Cindy had the question, do the holes on the double drills and the holes on the carrier beads line up? Well, I'll tell you what that is. Hey, Cara, do we have any carrier beads that are open? I'll wait till Cara grabs me an open carrier bead and we'll line it up. In the meantime, I'm going to put a few of these beads right on here. I think I'm going to put 3 on each side. 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to, I know Janice is saying, Kate, use a seed bead. Kate, use a seed bead. So I'll use a seed bead. Sometimes you don't need many of them, right? You just need a few. And this might be the last hurrah for these English cuts. So maybe I'll put a double English cut there. Maybe I'll do that. Here comes Cara with some carrier beads. I'll check those. Thanks, Cara. I'll finish stringing these and then I'll multitask right over to checking those carrier beads. Could we use these double drills on stretch bracelets? Jen HT, Yes, you certainly can. They'd be perfect, I think, for stretch. Again, I'd put just a little bit of a bead in between so that they have a little bit of air, and it would be amazing. So let's do that there. Okay, let me double check and see how these holes line up. For the carrier beads, let me get it in frame. Sorry, Myra. Myra's like, get that in frame, please. If I go here and I scoot it back. Look at that. Holes line up perfectly. So you could go big, small, big, small. It would look great. So yes. Yes, yes. So there's that. So let me tape this down. Let me make the other side match. Unless I know what I'm going to do. It looks a little heavy to my eye. I can already tell. I don't love it. But you know what I would love is another double drill in there, right? So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and take those off. Nothing like designing on the fly, right? So we're going to do that. And I think I want just a soupçon of that mustard in there. And our little friend, the seed bead. Yes, I like that a lot.
Melanie asks, are the English cuts like the star cut?
Like the star cut. Yeah, they're similar to the semi-precious star cuts. Yes, actually. Melanie, they're very similar. That's a great observation. It is true. They are very similar. Yeah, I like the looks of that. Then let me make the other side match. When I'm kind of flailing around for design ideas, I kind of, yeah, the mustard would have looked good down here too. It's a little late for that, but that's okay. I like that idea. Tammy, did Tammy give me that? Yes, Tammy, good eye for that. It takes a village. It takes a design village, doesn't it? It's fun to design on the fly like this, isn't it? I think it is, anyway. And hopefully you guys do too. You're sticking with us. I like it. Yeah, we're adding the star cuts in soon to our inventory mix. They're really cool for a semi-precious, and again, they really evoke, any of those kind of rough cuts to me, evoke such a vintage vibe. And again, if you know me at all, and I like to think that you do, you know how much I love vintage jewelry. So these double drills and these English cuts and stuff are all up, so up my alley, right up my bead alley. So I love them. Let's get that 8/0, and then I had a mustard. Right. The problem with stringing like this on camera, I want to try and be as quick as I can, but I also need to make sure that I'm stringing this correctly. Nothing, see, look, I put an extra bead on there. What did I just say? Stringing this correctly. There we go. That goes on. No! For the love of Pete. I'm just going to stop talking about stringing them correctly and just string them. How does that sound? That one and this one and this. There we are. There we are. Yeah, I like these a lot. I really like the mustard. The glass, the rondelles are so cool. A lot of them have a Picasso coating on the outside, and then they're cut away to show the glass on the interior. So they're just a really kind of surprising, pretty bead. All right, so it's time to take a length check, I think. I did say I was going to make this a little bit shorter, so you can see down here at the bottom portion, we're about at the same length here. As I'm working up, I think I can actually make this a little bit shorter. I think I can go to about right there, and I also need to kind of be aware where these guys are gonna sit. I may actually bust out one more strand here to make it a little bit longer. But I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel, and I think we'll have time to do it, I feel like I want these guys here, though I'm pulling them just from my stuff on this side. What a surprise. But then I can do 2 English cuts there, and then 2 English cuts on that side. And then maybe have just the green aventurine go all the way to the back. That's probably what I'll do. So, so let's do it. Let's run. Let's string this, Richburg, like you mean it. Some other questions. If we've got other questions, it is a great time to ask process questions now, because I'm going to be stringing like a crazy woman. One of the things, you guys, when I'm thinking about, we talked a little bit earlier about composing the palette for this piece. If you are really kind of stumped about where even to begin, I always tell my beginning stringing students when I teach a beginning stringing class, though I haven't in so long, but I tell them to start with one bead, right? Find one bead that you like, something that speaks to you in some way, right? Then, once you have that one bead down on your pad, your bead board, your design board, then pick a second bead, all right, that somehow goes with this first bead, that somehow speaks to it. Maybe it picks up a color, if it's a multicolored thing that you chose. Maybe it's a contrast in size. Maybe you chose something big, so now you want to choose something small. But if you build your color palette bead by bead, or element really by element, you'll start to create a palette that I think is pretty visually interesting. Then you can always take beads away, right? You don't have to keep everything that you've first used, right? You can take some elements away. But that's really how I go about building a color palette and just starting from scratch. I do that a lot when we're trying to figure out what we're going to do for our Facebook Lives. We just start with a bead that we like, and then kind of go from there. So it's just one bead. All right, so now I'm up to the English cuts on this side, and I'll finish with these darling little seed beads, these 8/0. Come on. There we go. And so now this, I'm just going to, maybe I'll do 3, because I finished with 3. 1, 2, 3. How many do I have left? 3 for that side. So I can do, I think I can do 4. If I can find the hole. I said if I could find the hole. There we go. Okay. So now I just need to do this side real quick. And Tammy was saying, Tammy, you were saying that you like to group beads together. I can't see the rest of that comment. It's kind of blocked, but can you see what that comment says, what she's saying there, Jenny?
Yes. Sometimes I group beads together when I'm having a creative block. It helps to get the creative juices flowing. Yes,
it's so true. So just playing, you know, I like to call that playing bead store, you know. If I play bead store and block my beads by color groups, it really helps. Here comes Cara. Hey, Cara.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Cara's filling an order. I bet it's yours, whoever's watching. I bet that's yours.
It is.
Yes. We're getting these orders out as quickly as we can. We really appreciate all of your business and all of your patience. you know that here at beadshop.com, you think that we're a giant multi-million person conglomeration, but there's really just a few of us here making bead happiness happen behind the scenes. So we really always appreciate. Oh, Cara, you're getting a lot of highs.
Yeah.
A lot of hellos for our Cara. Yes, you guys saw Cara on when we did the broadcast for the monthly mix, for Cara's monthly mix for the month of August. Yes. Cara, we know that Cara loves those oranges. Whoops, I forgot a Hishi. There we go. People are also saying hi to Alfie. Well, you may or may not see Alfie a little bit later. All right, I've got to bring this to a close, literally, you guys, so you can see me crimp this, because we need to talk about crimping. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about crimping here. So let me actually start to shift gears and talk about the Softflex and how I choose the stringing material for these. I touched on it a little bit earlier. But as you can see, you guys, as I'm stringing these beads down, you can see that the thread is heavy enough to hold this multiple strand piece. I'm using the 0.014 or the fine Softflex. But it's also not so thick that the beads don't slide down nice and evenly over the Softflex. You could use the Soft Touch, the 0.010, but I feel it's a little light, right? It's a little, doesn't have enough body, I think, to hold these guys in place. So the 0.014, I think, is perfect. You could use, if you had the 0.019, if you had it and wanted to use it, it would make the hand of this necklace just slightly stiffer, I think. Not so that you'd notice all that much, but in my stringing world, the 0.014 I think is perfect for this. And let's just finish it up by stringing those 4 beads right here on the end. And then we're going to go to crimping. And I know that crimping, there's been a lot of chitty chat lately on our bead table, our Facebook group, the bead table. There's been a lot of chitty chat about crimping lately. And so I really want to run over the crimping. Though, you know, I've done it in so many broadcasts. I hope that you guys aren't going to get tired of watching me crimp. But I think it's, you know, there's some essentials that you need to know. And crimping a crimp tube with confidence is really important. An important skill in your bead box. And I have, I've got 4 left, so I'm going to end it with the 5 beads. So 1, 2, so it's going to have 5 beads on the end. Now, before I start the clasp, I also want to taper visually, right? I don't need it probably to do that, but we want to look at our clasp and how our clasp is going to look on our piece. And again, you guys, I'm just winging it. This is going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. I'm gonna trust in the bead gods that everything's going to be all right. So here's the clasp. Myra, shall I move this down a little bit? It'd be easier for you to see. If you can see here, let me see if I can get this unsightly piece of tape off. There we go. If you can see by my closure here how I've tapered, doing that same little taper with the Polychrome Aqua Teal and the Melon. I'm going to do that same thing here. It'll also, I think, kind of bookend this little section nicely. This would also be a really fantastic bracelet, just this section right here, especially maybe if I replaced the center section with another section of English cuts, maybe, or not. I don't know. I think it would look really great. But let me go ahead and taper using this Polychrome Aqua Teal. Again, nothing is closed, so I am super playing with fire. So I just want to make sure that I don't pull anything up too quickly. Oh, I knew it looked funny. I needed a Hishi. Let's hope that I have enough Hishi out. Let me count and see. I've got 2. Do I have any Wayward Hishi? I need 2 more, but I don't want to open up another package. So, any other? Nope, no copper. I think I must have used 50 Hishi in all of these. That's from that other package. So, you know what, Hishi? You get in the boot. Maybe I'll use a... How about if I use a seed bead instead? There we go. I'll use a seed bead. That's okay. Polychrome aqua teal. And this. And this one. There we go. Yeah, I like the 4. I agree, Ellen. The 4 at the end were bugging me a little bit too, so I'm glad I had enough to make it 5. And I don't mind the little seed bead at the end. I would love a copper Hishi instead, but that's okay. If you want more, just buy another package. Whoops. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead to crimping. There we go. So I've tapered everything towards the end. And it's important for this clasp because if I had beads that were too big up at the end, right, too big, I wouldn't have enough room to taper for the loops of this clasp, right? The beads would knock against each other and it just wouldn't look good. Okay, so a little bit of tapering works just perfectly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape one end down, and I'm actually going to pull my extra thread through because I need enough to work with on the other side, but I may be able to conserve enough of the thread so that whatever I don't use I can save for another project. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just tape those bad boys down right there. Myra, am I in good enough a position for you? You all right? Okay. So now let's go ahead and crimp as I cast around for my crimp tubes and things. What I need to get out of my box is some copper findings. So I've got little copper crimp covers. I've got copper wire guards, and of course I have copper crimp tubes. Okay, so that all of my findings match. Myra, you're getting a lot of shout outs for your camera work.
Thank you,
It's
Kimberly.
so true. She's doing an amazing job. So the way we start is we take a deep breath and we say, no big deal. We're just gonna put on our crimp tube, right? It's a 2x2 crimp tube, heavy wall. We come through. I love the way wire guards look. Now I know that some of you aren't as down with the wire guard game as I am, but a wire guard, you guys, especially on a necklace like this, adds so much, I think, vintage flair to what we've got going on, as well as longevity to this piece. This wire guard is like a little horseshoe that has a little openings, you know, little openings, little tubes on the end. And what it does is it guards the Soflex from rubbing against your clasp so much. So we're going to just put on our wire guard, go through, and the wire guard should fit both the 0.014 and the 0.019. There's plenty of room in there for it. I go back through the wire guard, through the other leg. Now, before I go back through the crimp, you guys, we've got to go through the clasp. And I keep the clasp connected, and you're going to see why I do that if as I close it up. So keep the sucker connected, okay? So now, here comes the part where it's a little It's a little dicey. I'm going to come in with the end of my Sofflex. I go back through my crimp, and I'm going to tighten everything up. Now I don't want to tighten things up too much. What I'm going to do is, this is magnetic clasp, so it wants to flip around because of the steel in the Sofflex, so you kind of have to wrangle with it. But see how I'm taking my chain nose pliers and gently squeezing the legs of the wire guard together, just slightly, okay? Now here, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to slide the crimp tube up. It's so hard for you to see, but there's less than a 1/16 of an inch, maybe a 32nd of an inch, scant little bit of space in there. And we need that because when I come in to put on my crimp cover, the edge of that crimp cover needs a little space to sit. Okay, so I've come in with my Xuron crimper. I've crimped, and I'm folding this over in the second chamber and crimping. There's a whole skill builder that we do, you guys, on using on crimping with Sofflex, so I won't overly detail it here, but you can check out that skill builder. And I'm going to come in, and since it's nice and crimped and tight, I'm going to cut away my extra Sofflex. I've got a nice big piece of Sofflex left, so I'm going to put this to the side and save it for something else. Now I get my crimp cover. I'm going to slide that crimp cover on. I slide it so it sits right in that little space I left. I know it's hard for you to see because my fingers are covering, but let me get it on there. And then you'll be able to see it. It slides right and kind of locks into that little space I left. Now I can use my Xuron crimper, or I just grabbed my chain nose pliers because they were what was right by my hand. And I just gently close that sucker. There it goes. And sometimes I just need to press right on the seam to close it perfectly. Can we see that? We can all take one big collective sigh of relief there, yes? And I'm going to do this a little bit quicker, more in real time on these other ones, because I want to show you how I deal with closing the other side. So we go crimp tube, wire guard, through the wire guard, back through the wire guard, and through the correct loop on the clasp, which is also why I keep it closed. Go back through that heavy walled crimp tube, the 2x2, close it up. And I don't need to worry so much about taking up the slack on this side because we're going to do it on this side, the other side of the necklace when we close it. But close those little legs of the crimp, the wire guard together. Now I'm going to come in, crimp that crimp tube with each little channel of the Sofflex right in the crimp tube, leaving just a hair of space so that my crimp cover will have a place to sit. Okay, so that goes. Done. And put that aside. I can use that later. One more crimp cover on this end. And the crimp cover just makes everything look like a tiny little bead, right? Sometimes I pick these up in my crimping plier, but I don't know why today I feel like using my fingers. They're not really cooperating. There we go. See how that locks just right in there like that? Done and done. But I can just come in and close that up and give it a little squeeze on the top. That one went much nicer. That crimp cover was much easier to deal with. Now let's do the other side. And this is where, you guys, this is important. So we want to stop and take a moment. It's easy to crimp a twist into this, okay? Like I have right here. See how in this necklace, if I went ahead and crimped it right now, see there's a twist way down here. So what I need to make sure is that I've laid this necklace out and it's laid out exactly correctly with no twist in it, okay? Now I am able to go ahead and crimp it closed. So, and also I'm noticing, did I do this right? Yeah, it is correct. I did it the right order. The crimp cover was throwing me off. So now let's just bring it all. I'm going to pull it down a little bit here, Myra, so it's a little closer to me. I'll put on, let's just crimp it closed. So crimp tube goes on, wire guard, back through the wire guard. Now this is where we need to pay attention to the slack and where we're putting the strand. So if this is the inside strand, it's going on that loop of the clasp, right? And I'm going to go back through and make sure to pull everything so I've taken up the slack, but so that it's not too tight, because I've got to have movement here, which is the other reason why I keep this clasp closed, okay? So it's nice and it has some nice movement to it. So now once it's there, I pull up the slack a little bit. I close the legs of the wire guard, pull it just a bit, but I'm leaving that air in, and I'm going to come in with the courage of my convictions and crimp. There we go. Turn it to the side and fold that crimp over. Give it a little hug with the tips of the Xuron and cut it away. Done. Now we're going to cover that bad boy. This thread out here should actually have some tape on it or something. Again, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, so I don't have tape on it, but you would want to have tape on it at home. That little extra space gives you enough air so that this strand isn't too tight. Now we'll do this last one. See, I'm going to take up the slack. There we go. And I know that this is the one that matches. That's, you know, whenever you close a multiple strand piece, you guys, you really have to take the time, take the moments to make sure that everything is lined up correctly, because there's nothing that makes you want to go weep by the seed beads more than crimping your piece incorrectly. We always used to say that at the bead store when you were having a bad day. Oh, go take a little weep by the seed beads. So,
Wadia is asking how long the necklace is.
Oh, well, I will get out the tape measure as soon as I get this crimped, and we'll measure it. Yeah, I couldn't let you guys leave without a measurement for the necklace. I'm going to close those up. Slide this just gently. Get that Xuron underneath. Get it in the rounder, if I can. One soft flex in each little channel as I crimp. Then I fold it in half. Give it a hug with the tips of my plier and crimp this away. Alrighty. Now, we're so close to being done. Let's see if we can get this guy on. One final crimp cover. I'm just going to come in, close it, and press on the open seam to close it up. All right, everybody, take a giant collective sigh of relief. Oh, that we did it. Let's go ahead and give this a measure. Door to door, I think it's going to be about 24 inches. I think. About like that. I think that's how it is. And yeah, you can see we did this, the marking of this tool in an earlier broadcast, so that you'd know which one was the rounder and which one were the different little, the 1, 2, and 3 millimeter rounders, and then the crimper. We did that with just some colored nail polish, and it really helped. Okay. So there it is. I'm going to put it on when we turn the camera so we can see if it looks at all okay. You know, I like making the back of the necklace as interesting as the front. I wear my hair up a lot, so, you know, don't forget about the backs of your necklaces, right? We want them to be as pretty as the front. That's what my gran would always say when she was teaching me to embroider, right? And I bet your gran said the same thing when she was teaching you to embroider, was the front has to look just as nice as the back. So let's take a look at these two right side by side. And yeah, so Leah, the clasp does, it's a tube clasp, and you can see how it opens. It slides right out like that. Okay, slides out and then slides back in, just like so. So let me unclasp it though so we can see them kind of side by side. So you can see the green one's a little shorter. You could, if you wanted to make your green one a little bit longer, you could add one more strand of the aventurine, or you could use more of the double drills. Look, I still have a whole ton of double drills left that I didn't use, so I could elongate these sections to make it longer. You know, whatever works for you guys. But there they are. Evening time is the green palette, and tea time is the kind of pink and Botswana agate palette. Yes. Okay. Should we move this camera around? Low battery? Okay, we've got a little bit of time, so we'll move this around. I'll hand this over to Myra. And we will bring this to a close. Ta-da! Yes. Kayla's asking a matching bracelet. Always, Kayla. We could do a matching bracelet with these other double drilled. I think they'd look amazing. Let's see what 24 inches looks like on me. I should open up my sweater here. See what that looks like in real life. See if I can put this on. There we go. It's almost on. There we are. Okay, so that length, it's not quite the right thing I'm wearing with it today, but you can see that the length, especially if I were wearing the right kind of simple top, it's a nice length here for it. I'm going to put it on our little neck here so you guys can see it though, so it's not so crazy against my stripes. So there we have this and this. Let me put this on there. There we go. How does it look, Myra? How do we look?
Good.
Yeah, right? Look at that visual impact of those double drills. I think they look really, really great. They're really good. I think it's a pretty piece. Not too bad. Ta-da! So then, we've got, and I'm finishing almost on time. It's a little after 12. So, as always, you guys, it was great to have you back on Facebook Live. It was great to be back on Facebook Live Wednesday. Really great. We have, of course, as always, two things. We have our special today. Today is the 5th of September, my birthday month, all month. And if you make an order of any size and you put tea time in the order notes, we're going to take 20% off all the gemstones, which includes all the double drills, right? So tea time in your order notes will knock 20% off the double drills, the rounds you can see on the wall behind me. All of those guys will be 20% off, and that is good till tonight, 9/5 at midnight Pacific time. If you're watching this later on a replay and you've missed this special, it's okay. Go right to beadshop.com and sign up for our newsletter. That's where we communicate all of our specials, coupon codes, giveaways, all kinds of cool stuff like that. Okay, so if you miss it, that's where to find it. Speaking of giveaways, I know everyone's all, where's Alfie? Speaking of giveaways, you guys, we have a giveaway today that we are doing. I know that you guys have loved Karen's mix that we call Alley Cat, right? And she used our Alfie kitty as inspiration. So we've got 3, we're going to do a raffle today. We've got 3 of the Alfie mix, along with each, we've got a little Alfie charm. You guys have seen them on the web. We've got it in black and the silver and the gold. So you guys are going to get the Alfie mix plus all 3 Alfie mix charms. If you place an order in the next hour, a little bit after 1 o'clock, until a little bit after 1 o'clock Pacific time, and you write Cat Lady in your order notes, we're going to do a drawing for 3 of the Alfie raffles. And I know you guys have been waiting. So, Kimberly's asking, are you going to give Alfie away? I thought about putting him in the raffle. There he is. Myra's giving me the thumbs up like, yes. There he is. There's our boy, Mr. Naughty Pants. He's right there. And there he is, right there. Alfred, say hi to everybody over there. There's our boy. He's doing really well. Look at what a good boy you're doing. You're being, yeah, I know. It's time for lunch. Shall we have some lunch? I think we'll have lunch. So Myra and Jenny and it was great to see Drea, and it was great to have Jance on the other side moderating, and of course Gita moderating as beadshop.com. You guys did an amazing job. Myra, your camera work was awesome. I can't wait, Jenny, to see all the photos you took for our episode notes. It's going to be great. So episode notes will be up on Monday. Drea will have those done. And I can't wait to join you next week. Janice will be here for a great project called O Peyote with our brand new O beads. I can't wait. So, and I will see you Friday for Free Tip Friday. We're going to explore the piece that Janice made with the double drill. So I can't wait to share it with you. Oh my gosh, he is being such a good boy, isn't he? That's because he can see himself on the screen over there. He's entranced by how handsome he is. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. And it's Kate Richburg for beadshop.com. We'll see you next time. We'll see